What does self-care mean to you? Welcome to Momversations on the Win-Win Women platform. Natascha and I, Regan, we are your hosts today.
Yes. And our goal with these Momversations is to enrich motherhood and just help us all keep calm and mom on.
The topic of today's Momversation is to dive into like surface activities that you might know or hear about as self-care. And we're just gonna go into the ones that actually can change your life if practiced regularly.
Yes. We'll be discussing self-care and the relationship that you have with yourself for the first half hour. And then after that, you are more than welcome to unmute and just contribute to the conversation, the Momversation.
That's right, the Momversation. We love it when you share your input, you ask questions, you take advantage of this interactive feature that is just unique about this Win-Win Women platform. This is where women care, connect, and collaborate. So back to that first question. What does self-care mean to you?
Well, first, I think it has a lot to do with building a relationship with yourself. It's not necessarily those bubble baths and face masks,
although they're fun.
They are fun and completely necessary.
There you go.
But yeah, I think it's definitely more of the relationship that you're building with yourself than it is those surface activities that you had mentioned. Yeah.
And any relationship is going to have this critical element of trust.
Yes.
So we need to conscientiously build trust with ourselves, because if you can't trust yourself, who can you trust?
Exactly.
I think that it's an interesting concept to really ponder on. What does it mean to trust yourself? How would it be if you didn't trust yourself? How easily would you be able to trust anybody else, for that matter?
Right. You kind of just, in my personal experience, there was a long time when I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust myself. I was just mad person because I didn't have any support. I couldn't even rely on myself to follow through with things. So I've made so many promises to myself over the years that I just never even bothered keeping. Things like I'm going to stop eating things I'm allergic to.
That would be good for yourself. I keep telling myself that I'm going to stop drinking anything but water.
That's a hard one.
It really is. It really is.
Or how about getting 15 minutes of sunshine a day?
Well, it has been the world's longest January. It's like right? January hijacked February and March now too. We still aren't getting sunshine.
It still snowed last night. I woke up and there was an inch of snow on my driveway.
Not enough to have to shovel, but
no.
Still not welcome in the month of March.
Right. Other things I've just promised myself over the years, might know them more as resolutions or things that you're just interested in doing, learning how to crochet or learning a different language. Ooh. How many times have you been I'm going to do this year? And then it totally slips your mind.
Yeah,
right?
Gets in the way. It is good though. I've had those opportunities to stretch my brain sometimes. Learning a new language. And you can feel it. You can tell your brain is really going.
Yes.
At this point in my life, I just feel like regular life is stretching my brain. And
right.
so I haven't.
That's enough.
Accepted any mind stretching things. I'm worried I'm like a rubber band that's going to break.
Right. So I think we all feel like that, especially in the middle of winters that
go on forever.
One of the promises I recently came up with was standing up to a mom in swim lessons when she tried to tell me what my child needed from me in that moment. My daughter was throwing a temper tantrum because she didn't want to go into swim lessons. And a mom came up to me and told me, your daughter just needs attention. Like, what? What?
Trust me, she gets attention. Yes, she does.
So one of the promises that I made to myself in the past year has just kind of been standing up for myself in those moments. So far I'm doing good.
Okay, that's good. I think that's actually ties in with Momversation. We have principles for our different aspects of the Raise Up acronym, and the R is for relationships. And one of the principles there is trust, and that you need to trust yourself. Trust yourself to be the ultimate expert with your children and their discipline. So yeah, I think.
Well, and I think following through and trusting yourself. Okay, let me start that over again. I believe following through with promises that you make to yourself, no matter how small they are, will start the journey of you coming to trust yourself and coming to believe that you are the person who knows how to handle those moments and to handle and discipline children, or, how to run your household.
Mothering type things like that. I love that.
Yes.
And I love that you put it in context of a journey, because it is gradual, and to just take those steps. Don't get frustrated about that. That it takes time.
Right. And all of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today, it all takes time. It's not one and done. And it's not, you can do it all at the same time, as fast as possible, even if you may want it that way. I want it that way. But yes, it is a journey. This whole thing of self-love and self-relationship is a journey, and it might take years.
But be kind to yourself. That's our next little headline topic. Talk to yourself as though you were talking to your best friend.
Hey, this is new for me. I realize now that it is integral to the relationship with myself, and that it needs to be a priority in my life. I need to talk to myself like I'm talking to my best friend.
With kindness.
And catching those thoughts like, you didn't work hard enough today. Nope, you didn't reach. I'm an author. You didn't reach your word count today. You're worthless.
Oh, dear.
So I am the hardest person on myself. Nobody would ever say those things to my face. And I would never say them to somebody else.
To a best friend. Right.
So why am I talking to myself that way?
I love that.
So yes, it's catching those mean thoughts
and then
right there,
replacing them. So not just telling yourself, stop talking mean to myself, because that's talking mean to yourself again.
Exactly.
But saying, whoa, that was a mean thought. What can I say to myself instead?
Yes.
That is going to build me.
And I'm very much an achiever and an overachiever. I will try to do all the things and do them perfectly. And if it doesn't come out perfectly, that's when those criticizing thoughts come in. But I recently found myself this last time that it happened, I stopped in like mid-step, and I was like, no, that's not true. And I had to say it to myself vocally. It was the weirdest and the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done.
Talking out loud
to myself. I mean, I do it every once in a while, like
usually the mean thing.
Yes.
You have to switch it to being nice.
But switching it to nice, that was just so awkward. But I feel like I'm getting better with that.
Awesome. I love that. So being able to comfort yourself, even in the midst of seeing that you maybe disappointed yourself, but being able to comfort yourself. And I highly recommend conscientiously thinking of someone who can provide that comfort, even if you can't, because I think sometimes there are moments when I just can't come up with something nice to comfort myself, in my case, I do turn to my husband, and he is so sweet and kind, and reminds me of these truths of, that I am working hard.
Yes. Harder than everyone else, right?
Yes. If it's a competition, but
It is.
I have recently been reading this book. I brought it as a visual aid. So this is by a psychologist and a professor up in Canada, Jordan B. Peterson. It's called 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos. And one of those rules is to treat yourself like somebody you're responsible for helping. And he said this is very different than treat yourself well or treat yourself so you get happiness. He was like, he shared about kidney transplant recipients and how they wait so long to get a kidney. And they know how hard it is to be on dialysis while they're waiting. They know how hard it is to find a donor. But for some strange reason, they get that kidney and then they don't make a point to take their anti-rejection pills. Oh. And that this has been an issue that doctors have come to psychologists saying, what can we do to get these people? Like, these people have dogs that they will take that dog to the vet. They'll take the dog and they'll buy really expensive medication for the dog, but they don't do that for themselves. And so this is what Dr. Peterson was trying to get everybody to understand is you need to treat yourself at least as well as you treat your dog, you know?
Well, and you don't have, if you're not taking care of yourself, you cannot physically take care of anybody else.
Good point. Good point. And you want to be there for your dog or whoever it is. In our case, as moms, we like to think our children need us, you know? But this is a really important concept that, again, ties in with some of these Mom of 8 principles, one of which is forgiveness and compassion.
Yes.
And how important that is to spread it around like jelly so that you get some on yourself, you know?
Right. Jelly. What's your favorite flavor of jelly?
Oh, I'm all about strawberry.
I'm a raspberry.
And I like the preserves when it has like more of the actual fruit.
Like the seeds and the chunkiness. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Well, this kind of leads into our next self-care item is also setting boundaries with yourself.
Okay.
Boundaries is just a huge buzzword.
It is.
Right
it
now.
is. I've been hearing it.
I've noticed like there's a lot of books coming out about it too. And my friends are talking about it.
I just had the chance to teach my son about it. And he's a psychology student in college. And it was a good conversation.
I 100% believe that they are absolutely necessary in every aspect in our lives, in every relationship we have, especially when it comes to ourselves. So like boundaries just teach us and teach others how we want to be treated.
I like that. And it goes back into the idea of trusting myself because I've set a boundary, for instance, a consistent bedtime. So I'm actually not awesome about that, but luckily I have a husband who consistency is like his middle name. I love that about my husband, but I'm definitely a follower in this. I am not the leader when it comes to consistency, but thank goodness he is there to set that pattern. He does it for my sake, but also for the kids. So that's so nice to have him in charge of bedtime.
Oh, yes. I want that. I want that in my life.
I think it should be part of prenuptial vows, you know?
Right? I agree to this every night. Give mama that time by herself. What other boundaries have you set with yourself?
Well, it's one thing to actually set the boundary. It's another thing to be aware of it. So one that I'm aware of, but haven't done yet, is Benjamin Franklin's idea of tracking your habits. I was born on his birthday. So, you know, I'm like fascinated with Benjamin Franklin.
Nice.
And read his autobiography, things like that. And he really was like phenomenal about having a habit that he wanted to incorporate and he would keep track of it. He had a little system of like dots and a graph and stuff like that. So, that would be a good boundary, but so far, but one that I am good at is the low screen time. I personally choose not to indulge in a whole lot of screen time. But also I'm really kind of weird about it with my kids. My mom cut off the cord to the TV when I was 12 years old. And by the time I was in college, I had roommates who would like comment. They would be like, you lead such a rich life, Regan. You have so many hobbies, and like I was able to like connect that back. It's because I wasn't spending a lot of time on screens, and so I could develop this wide array of interests and hobbies. Of course, these days there's way too many cords.
Right.
Or rather, things are cordless.
Everything is green.
So I've determined with my kids, it can't be a matter of cutting cords off. It's more a matter of like teaching them that boundary and teaching them for themselves to determine what their boundaries are going to be.
Like, you've had enough time. It's time to go do something.
Think of something else.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Like, sticking to a budget, I would say too, is a good boundary to set with yourself. I'm terrible at that. I have not set that as a boundary
yet.
Especially when it comes to like things that just make me so happy. Like, not a lot of things make me happy. I am more engrossed in experiences, but I will spend my butt off on experiences.
And some experiences really do cost. And my brother was a big concert goer, and that would like, he had to build that into his budget. He couldn't just buy tickets on a whim because.
See, I'm still on the whim person. Like, and my poor husband, he doesn't do the bills. I do. He doesn't know how much money we have.
He doesn't know.
I can spend whatever I want as long as, everything works out in the end.
There you go. In the end, I've discovered that if I turn the whole budgeting thing into a game, then my brain is much more interested in that endeavor. Otherwise, it feels like a punishment, So, but yeah, I never buy, well, that's not true, not never, but I rarely buy brand new things. I will check KSL, that's our local classifieds. I'll check the local classifieds first. I used to do a lot more garage sailing than I do currently, but that was a way. Mama, again, I'll put a plug in. We have something called revolving closets, and that's something I actually host one in my home. If you're not familiar with this concept, it's how to get clothes for free. So yeah, look that up on our website, please. So
I would also say, like, those ones are, I feel, more popular. Is that the right word to use? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Most people know about those ones.
Right.
But what about like standing up for yourself in a hard conversation?
Yeah. Having a boundary that says, I'm not going to go there with you. You're trying to drag me into a conversation I'm not prepared to have, and I don't intend to have it. So
just being mindful of how you want to be treated by others, what they are allowed to say to you. I would consider all of those really strong boundaries. I have a couple of relationships that I've had to do that with, and sadly it's with my parents. But I am so much happier now
that I set those boundaries.
I put it out there. Sometimes they will listen and sometimes they will not. But then
that's one thing, to have the boundary and then to have other people respect it, right?
But then that also, in one of our other points here, farther a bit down the line, is, evaluating those kinds of relationships. And it starts off with those boundaries and having those healthy boundaries, how that just improves the relationship with yourself and improves the trust with yourself.
Right.
And I think it just makes you happier overall when you are being respected and heard and in the way that you need to be.
Yeah, that's great.
But
I think a boundary that is tied in with this, as far as not being necessarily tangible, like money is tangible or sleep, is how to say no.
Yes, that's huge.
No. I as I've practiced this, because again, life is all about practicing things.
Yes.
It's helped me discover that saying no to enough things makes the things that I say yes to far more valuable and like enriching and worth my while,
I 100% agree on that. It's helping you manage your time, your energy, even your money in some cases. For example, I have not been to a wedding shower or a baby shower in years.
That's one of the things you say no to.
That's one of the things I say no to, because my husband comes from a really large family, and we're at the point where cousins and like
the kids of
kids
cousins.
of the cousins are old enough now to be having babies, getting married, things like that. And I always get an invitation because that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But I've never met these people in my life.
Yeah. They
They've
wouldn't
never
recognize you if you
No,
walked in the room.
They don't know I exist.
Yeah.
So
Other than a name on the address list.
exactly.
Right.
And I understand that, yes, you need to invite anyone because you want the presents and you want the money, but also it's a waste of my time because I don't know you and I don't even know what you would like. I don't know what kind of baby you're having. I don't know how long you'll stay married. All these things. So I started saying no. I just recently got an invitation from my mother-in-law who said, I need your address for this person's baby shower. And I'm like, I don't know who that is.
No need
I'm like,
to send it.
you can send it to me, but I won't come. So saying no, I think is just so vital. And like, how about your energy? Do you have unlimited amounts of energy?
That is a limited resource. Tell you what, it's a little bit weird though, because it can be expanded. If you spend some of your time using your energy to exercise, then you tend to have more energy later. It's the weirdest thing. You would think that just uses it all up, and but it's kind of like built into our bodies somehow that if we exercise, we'll end up with more energy.
Right.
So,
and I'm guessing you're not a millionaire either.
You are right. You are right. We keep bringing up these limited resources, energy and money. I will say, as I've worked to live within my budget, this has been one of the soul purifying things for me. I actually really appreciate not having so much stuff. And thereby the money I would have spent on stuff is actually available for emergencies or things I really do want, without going into debt. Experiences, like you mentioned, I want that money available, or when it's a stressful moment, but a little bit of being able to send some funds that direction will relieve the stress,
Right. Having that capability. And that assurance
reduces stress. So,
well, if you guys are looking for more resources on how to say no, because we can't obviously go over all of that within the limited time that we have left, there is a book. There is a book. I don't have the book with me though. Okay. I need to buy it because I borrowed it from the library. And I had to give it back. But I think it's a book worth keeping. You have those ones that you'll reread over and over. And this one does take practice, is learning how to say no so you can value your time, your energy, and your money better. But it is a book called F No by Sarah Knight. She has a whole series.
And that's Knight with a K.
With a K, yes. Okay. So Knight. It's called F No. It's one of my favorite books, and I've recommended it to so many women in my circle, in my mom circle,
because we all have to learn that.
Because we are so overspread by saying yes to everything and everyone to try to make them happy. Maybe you're not an actual people pleaser, but we do say yes more often. And I think that is just socially programmed into us a lot of the time. But if you would like to learn on how to say no, that could be a huge step in the relationship with yourself.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now we're going to segue into a part that is about joy.
Yes.
I feel like joy. I feel like I'm marinating in joy.
Oh, I love that.
When I pray with gratitude. I think a lot of times I think of prayer in terms of when I need something, and I'll say it to my friends. If they're expressing a need, I'll be, well, I'll pray for you, But the God I worship taught that we need to pray with gratitude and thankfulness. And sometimes I thought that was for his sake, he wanted me to explain to him what blessings he had given me. But I think he already knows all of that.
He knows your
And
heart.
he doesn't need that from me. It's not for his ego or something, it's totally for me. It's so that I can be aware of the different joys as I make an effort to concentrate on different things that are bringing me joy and being grateful for those things.
I love that. I have tried gratitude journaling and I just don't care. Like that's terrible.
It's gonna work for me.
That's terrible. But I do have this craving in my life right now because things are just so stressful with, the never ending winter and life as moms and people who want to move in with you and things like that. Like I have been craving just little pockets of joy. And so I made myself a list in my phone that I just keep on hand. And if you need maybe some inspiration to make a list of your own, I put the stupidest things in there, but they make me so happy. But just
and you can remember them at unusual times.
When
you
I'm having a
otherwise
hard time or I'm stressed out, I can grab my phone. It's on the list. Okay, I can take 5-10 minutes to do this. But like the I Mom So Hard podcast, it's a comedy duo of moms, and they're explicit.
Fair warning.
But they make me laugh.
Yeah.
And I don't laugh a lot. I don't know if you know
you
that,
need that.
but I don't laugh a lot. I don't laugh at comedies on TV or anything like that. It's
like
very,
out loud.
Yeah, it's very hard to like
your
get me to
diaphragm
laugh.
Actually does the muscular,
laughing in the middle of swim lessons at this comedy duo. So that's just something that makes me happy. I like planner stickers. I buy a lot of planner stickers.
You're a big planner.
I am a huge plan and videos. I will watch videos too. So if I can get like 5-10 minutes a day of just something from that list, it makes a huge difference.
How fun. That's awesome. And that's about being able to laugh about things is a little bit of a reward for yourself. And I wonder, do you have other rewards that you sometimes give yourself?
Hey, so I came across a free 6-week course from Bloomquist Hale. You guys can Google them. They're on YouTube. They have a lot of videos about managing anxiety and OCD. And one of the very first things that this psychologist had mentioned was that the number one reason most people feel burnt out, overworked, heading into depression is that they don't reward themselves for hard work.
Okay. So we need to kind of pat ourselves on the back type of thing. All right.
Exactly. So that joy list could work into that, like go buy more planner stickers.
There we go. So I'm just curious, rewards, are they similar to bribery? What do you think?
I had to look this up. Because bribery is persuading yourself to do the thing. It's more or less like, if you do this, you can have that.
Okay.
Whereas like the rewards that you put into place for yourself are for already accomplishing what you've been doing.
Okay. So like an incentive.
Like once a week, I go to violin practice. I work my butt off, and then I go next door and get some ice cream.
Nice. But especially that they're so close in front of their Okay, but this ties us all back to the idea of building trust with myself, because I will confess that too often I indulge in the reward, even though I didn't really accomplish.
Yes,
I told myself
that's true. I don't think that's a bad thing though, because again, that's incorporating some of that joy into your life. The reward is the joy. And you're bringing down, your stress levels. By giving yourself, you're a mom. You work hard all day long.
That's right. I deserve it anyway.
You deserve
all the other things I didn't reward myself for.
Exactly. You don't have to have, I don't feel like you have to have like, I did this, I get this. I feel like you work hard every single week. You're running a nonprofit.
One of my things I can reward myself with is just to rest.
Yes.
And I think we should discover, you mentioned to me that you have a book about rest.
I actually do own this one.
Okay.
Hold on. It is called Rest by Alex Soojung-Kim.
Oh, nice.
This is the cover. And there are so many different types of rest, some that you might not even consider as rest, but
like exercise. I know you listed that as one.
Yes.
And I thought, but wait a minute. Is that so I wear myself out and I have to rest? Is that
No, it's so your body can stay in tip-top shape and support you in whatever it is that you need to do and whatever you need to do for your family.
nice?
So, and like you mentioned, exercise gives you dopamine. And if you know Legally Blonde, dopamine makes you happy.
There we go.
So you can't kill your husband because you just exercise. Yeah. So, and there's also, you know, incorporating a hobby, something to challenge your brain that is not work related. For example, mine is violin. Instruments are very popular with a lot of intellectuals. I'm not an intellectual. I just like playing violin, but it's different from my work.
It will make you into an intellectual eventually.
Who knows?
Right?
Who knows?
I know that you mentioned mind wandering as a way to
Yes.
rest, and that actually comes very naturally to me. So I'm glad to hear that it's actually good for me.
Daydreaming is awesome. And connecting with those people who, after you've gone through and evaluated your relationships in your life, I would say if you're setting boundaries, you're also evaluating the relationships you're allowing into your life and the people you're surrounding yourself with. So the ones who are left, just connecting with them and having genuine conversations and supporting each other.
Yeah, that's important to think that through. I'm gonna just shout out again to my husband, because I do have some girlfriends that I can call up and you know, talk things through, but the person who is genuinely there for me is my husband. I feel like connecting with him is a huge stress reducer for me.
I love that.
I'm very restful.
And that's what a marriage is supposed to be, right?
Yeah, I'm glad I can rely on him for
Yay.
that. Well, we are out of time.
Yeah.
So just remember that everything we covered today comes with practice and mindfulness. It takes time to implement all of these concepts. They can't be done all at once, but being deliberate about it will lead to gradual positive changes. So we hope you got something that you needed out of this Momversation. And we'd love to hear if you're going to start working on any of these points. Maybe through Facebook, you can connect with us. It's just at Momavate. And then Instagram at Momavate Moms. And you can also sign up for our weekly Smile newsletter at momavate.org.
Thank you to all of our viewers. We're especially grateful for behind the scenes work of the Win-Win Women Network. That one's a hard one to say, who really just make it all possible for us to care and connect and collaborate in this unique way.
So we're going to actually stop our recording and start our live interaction with our viewers. So if you've watched this on Roku or as a recording, we want to encourage you to catch our live show every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And the winwinwomen.tv website is where you can actually join the Momversation to be able to interact with us. So Roku is awesome, and we're glad they give us a way to get the Momversation out there. But in order to really benefit from this unique platform, we encourage you to go to winwinwomen.tv. And if you really want to join us, but you need a text reminder, then we encourage you to text at Momavate to 81010. I updated that from last week, so it has the actual word Momavate.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm going to repeat the number you texted to, 81010.
And we want to include you in our Momavate community. So please stick around and join us for the Momversation.
Interactive. That's where it's at.